Good morning, friends. A big g'day from your Aussie COVID chaplain. Great to have you with us again. I wonder how you went yesterday on that new theme I picked up with you, looking at the question of God's favour, beginning to appreciate the favour that God has given you, and looking for the new favour you need in your life, asking God for it. I mentioned yesterday two ladies I knew many, many years ago, elderly ladies, and how they had a different attitude, a different life experience. You know, every single person has a different journey. Two people can be twins. People can be living in the same house, the same city, the same country, and yet have very, very different experiences. And some of them are enjoying this thing that I'm calling favour, where the grace of God is on their life. What a precious, wonderful thing. And I want you to enjoy that. I want you to be a person who receives favour and a person who can give favour away as well. Let me share with you a situation that came up in Bible times. There was a prophet named Elijah, and God called him to make a very bold challenge to the political leaders of his day, the King Ahab, and to go and challenge the king and say, because you are doing evil, I'm going to stop the rain from falling on the land until I say so. And so the rain stopped falling. He made that declaration. I presume for the first few weeks, King Ahab would have thought, what a jerk, who's he? Who's he think he is? But as the weeks unfolded and there was no rain, they thought, that's what that prophet bloke said. That's what Elijah said. Well, now Elijah needed to be kept safe. And so he was sent by God to a place where there was a creek, a little rivulet running, and there were ravens that brought food to him. Fantastic. He was well looked after. But eventually the brook dried up. And God gave him an instruction to go into a particular foreign city, cross over the border and go to this other place, and there he would find a widow woman who was going to feed him. And so he went off to the particular village, and as he approached the village, there was a widow woman that came along, and she was picking up sticks. And he called out to her and said, can you bring me a drink of water? And she looked at him and thought, yes, I can. And as she went off to get it, he said, oh, and would you bring me some food? And she turned around and said, don't you understand? Because of this famine, I've got so little left, just a little bit of a jar with a little bit of meal, grain in it. And I was just gathering sticks to go back home. I was going to light a fire and cook a cake and give it to my son and to myself, and that was our last meal, and then we were going to die. He said, that's okay. Go and make me a cake first, and then make one for yourself. Because I'm going to make this prophecy that food will never run out until there's rain. And guess what? That was true. That woman was able to feed him and her whole household. I think she had servants as well, I presume, because the Bible talks about her household. That's just more than her and her son. And that went on for a long period of time until God decided it was time to break that drought and to have a big showdown with Elijah and the prophets of Baal. It's another story. But that woman, believe it or not, received favor. God could have sent Elijah to any other place. He could have sent him to any other widow woman. That woman, for whatever reason, and we don't know what that reason was, she was the one that God selected was going to have the miracle. And that's favor. Wouldn't it be wonderful if there was a situation like that happening and God was going to send a miracle into somebody's home and you put your hand up, let it be my home, let it be me. Maybe the woman had a dream overnight about a prophet coming and asking for food. Maybe God pre-warned her. And we don't quite know. All we know is that God chose to give her incredible favor. You see, the situation around her was incredibly dark. Maybe the situation around you right now is incredibly tense, and people are agitated and disturbed about lockdown and fear and what's going on politically and what's going to go on with the disease, and do we all have to get a jab, and all these sort of issues that are being stirred up around us at the moment. But you can have perfect peace because you have a jar supply in your home that never runs out, a miracle supply because you have favor. Would you like that kind of favor? You see, when I felt God prompt me that I was to talk about favor with you through this week, I was thinking of these situations, and I feel that God is wanting to say to you that you too can have his immediate and personal favor in your home. Even if you're like that woman I talked about yesterday, that everything went wrong and all she could ever see was that it wasn't working out and everything was a complaint. God can still turn you around into being the sort of person who has God's favor and who sits back and says, what a lovely day. What a lovely day. There might be all sorts of terrible things happening around me, but I'm blessed. I have God's favor on me in the situation that I'm in. Now, it was yesterday that I said to you, if you have been receiving God's favor, you really need to be thankful. You might have had it in your teenage years. You might have had it in your young married life. You might have it right now. You might have had it last week. Take the time to say, God, thank you for your favor. I appreciate you seeing things work out well for me, putting me in the right place at the right time. But Lord, now I ask you to pour out more of your favor in my life. And so as you go through this day to day, keep that antenna of yours tuned to God's favor. Look for it. Thank God for it. Appreciate it. But also ask for more. God, please send your mercy. Send your grace. Send your favor into me, into my home, into my circumstances, into my community. I'm asking you for your favor. Let's make that something we celebrate and receive from God right through this week and into the months and years ahead as well. Let's be people who know and enjoy the favor of God. So look out for today, enjoy it, thank God for it. And as you do, God bless you.